gather round and let me spin you a yarn about an event that changed the very fabric of our world, even if many have never heard of it. This tale takes us back to the age of exploration, a time of daring sea captains and brave adventurers setting sail into the unknown. It's a story of intrigue, power, and a stroke of a pen that divided the world. Yes, I'm talking about the Treaty of Tordesillas of 1494. Picture this: the year is 1494, and Europe is a bustling hive of activity and ambition. Just 2 years earlier, Christopher Columbus, under the flag of Spain, had stumbled upon the New World, though he believed he had reached the outskirts of Asia. This discovery set off a frenzy among the great naval powers of the time, primarily Spain and Portugal. Both nations were eager to claim new lands, riches, and routes, but there was a problem: how to divide these vast, uncharted territories without going to war. Now, imagine a grand hall in a castle somewhere in Europe. Flickering torches cast long shadows on the walls, and the air is thick with the scent of candle wax and aged wood. In the center of this hall sits a long, heavy table of dark oak, around which are gathered some of the most powerful men of the age. At the head of this table sits Pope Alexander VI, a man of cunning and ambition himself, whose word carries the weight of God's will, or so it was believed. You see, the Pope wasn't just a spiritual leader back then, he was a political powerhouse. Spain and Portugal both sought his blessing to legitimize their claims, and so they came to him, not with swords drawn, but with hats in hands, hoping he'd broker a peaceable solution. On June 7th, 1494, a treaty was drawn up in this very hall, a simple piece of parchment with profound implications. The Treaty of Tordesillas, they called it. With a few strokes of a quill, the known and unknown world was divided by an imaginary line drawn 370 leagues west of the Cape Verde Islands, off the west coast of Africa. Now close your eyes and imagine the scene. It's like a master storyteller laying out a treasure map. On one side of this line, Spain would have dominion over any newly discovered lands, and on the other side, Portugal would hold sway. The line itself was invisible, existing only on maps and in the minds of men, but its effects were very real. To our modern eyes, this division might seem arbitrary, even absurd. But back then, it was a masterstroke of diplomacy, preventing these two great nations from coming to blows and allowing them to focus on exploration and conquest. For Spain, this meant the vast lands of the Americas, rich with gold, silver, and untold resources. For Portugal, it meant control over the sea route to India and the treasures of the Orient, as well as the colonization of Brazil. But the story doesn't end with the signing of a treaty. No, this was merely the beginning of an era of exploration, exploitation, and extraordinary human drama. Spain and Portugal set sail with renewed vigor, their ships cutting through the waves like knives through butter, driven by dreams of wealth and glory. Picture a Spanish galleon, its sails billowing in the wind, the sun setting behind it as it approaches the coast of what we now know as South America. The crew, a mix of seasoned sailors and fresh-faced adventurers, stand on deck, eyes wide with anticipation. They've heard the rumors of golden cities and vast empires, and their hearts beat with the thrill of the unknown. In Portugal, a different scene unfolds. Skilled navigators and cartographers gather in darkened rooms, poring over maps and charts. They plot routes to the east, dreaming of the spices and silks that await them. Their ships, smaller but faster, are designed for long voyages around the southern tip of Africa through treacherous waters to the markets of India and beyond. The Treaty of Tordesillas set the stage for some of the greatest adventures in history. Explorers like Vasco da Gama, who opened the sea route to India, and Pedro Álvares Cabral, who claimed Brazil for Portugal, embarked on journeys that would have been unimaginable just a few years earlier. On the Spanish side, Hernán Cortés and Francisco Pizarro carved out empires in the New World, toppling the mighty civilizations of the Aztecs and Incas. But let me tell you, this treaty was more than just a piece of parchment. It was a catalyst for cultural exchanges, both wondrous and terrible. It brought together worlds that had been separate for millennia, leading to the Columbian Exchange, an intercontinental exchange of crops, animals, ideas, and tragically, diseases. Potatoes, tomatoes, and corn traveled from the New World to the Old, transforming European diets and economies. Horses, cattle, and wheat made the reverse journey, reshaping the landscapes and societies of the Americas. Yet there was a darker side to this tale. The arrival of Europeans brought about the enslavement and decimation of indigenous populations, the plundering of their wealth, and the imposition of foreign cultures and religions. Entire civilizations were upended, their ways of life forever altered by the tide of conquest. Imagine the Aztec capital of Tenochtitlan, a city of breathtaking beauty and complexity with its grand temples and bustling marketplaces. The Spanish, with their steel armor and cannons, were both awed and horrified by what they found. They saw not just a city, but an empire ripe for the taking. And take it they did, through a mix of diplomacy, deception, and outright brutality. In the lush jungles of South America, the Incas met a similar fate. Their vast empire, connected by an intricate network of roads and bridges, fell to a handful of determined conquistadors led by Pizarro. The riches they seized were staggering, and the impact on the local populations was devastating. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, Portuguese traders established footholds in Africa, India, and Southeast Asia. They built forts and trading posts, controlling the flow of precious spices and other goods. In Brazil, they found a land rich in natural resources, including the valuable Brazil wood, and later, sugar and gold. The Portuguese, too, brought suffering and exploitation, particularly through the transatlantic slave trade, which saw millions of Africans forcibly transported to the Americas. The Treaty of Tordesillas, for all its simplicity, set off a chain of events that reshaped continents and cultures. It was the spark that ignited an age of exploration and conquest, of great triumphs and terrible tragedies. The world as we know it today owes much to that moment in 1494, when the Pope drew an invisible line on a map. But let's not end on a somber note. History is a tapestry of light and shadow, of triumphs and tragedies, and every thread tells a story worth remembering. The Treaty of Tordesillas is a testament to human ambition, ingenuity, and the desire to explore the unknown. It reminds us that the world is a vast, interconnected place where the actions of a few can have repercussions that echo through the ages. So, as you sit by this campfire, let the flickering flames remind you of the torch of knowledge and exploration. Remember that every corner of the world holds a story waiting to be discovered and told. And who knows, perhaps one day one of you will set out on a grand adventure, adding your own chapter to the ever-unfolding saga of human history. And with that, my friends, I'll leave you to ponder the vastness of our past and the endless possibilities of our future. Keep the fire of curiosity burning and never stop exploring. The world is full of wonders, just waiting for those brave enough to seek them out.